Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, decided we're going to have a little bit of fun. Last year, I watched Vanderpump Villa and got a good dose of, I got a good dose of Lisa Vanderpump. I also watched The Valley, where I learned more about Jax Taylor and his shenanigans. But for years, I've heard many of these names, and I figured, why not go back in time and watch Vanderpump Rules from the beginning, starting with episode 1. I have never watched an entire episode of the show, nor do I know about much of these characters. I also figured, why in the world would you do this alone? So I figured, let me reach out to my longtime podcast partner and friend and say, hey, man, let's test our relationship. Let's test our friendship by having you join me, who has never seen an episode either, and watch Vanderpump Villa from the beginning. So, before we dive into the episode, let me introduce you to my podcast partner. And joining me for this little reality TV rewind of Vanderpump Rules, Mr. Matthew Fox. How are you?
You know, I was better before I watched the first episode of. It's definitely a test is a good word. It was interesting going back to like 2012, 2013. You had that as an entry. I have watched Dancing with the Stars for a while with my wife, so the only thing I knew about the show was I had seen Ariana Madix run on Dancing with the Stars. She's obviously not in the pilot of Vanderpump Rules, but I did. I couldn't have picked him out of a lineup. But when they said his name, Tom Sandoval, I was like, oh, I know that guy turns out not to be a winner. So, but I love how it starts with this like opening strut with Lisa Vanderpump. I've never seen an episode of any Housewives, nor that might have been a bridge too far. In terms of a request, strutting in there like everybody knows her, like
hot shit. You know what I mean? Hot shit.
Who is this lady, and what are these places?
Exactly. So before we dive in, Vanderpump, and I'm gonna give you guys a synopsis, right? So Vanderpump Rules, episode 1. We rewind back to I think 2013, I think it was, as you said, and getting that vibe of these great haircuts and great dudes. But Vanderpump Rules follows Lisa Vanderpump and the staff at her restaurants and bars at SUR Restaurant and Lounge and Pump Restaurant, Tom Restaurant and Bar in West Hollywood, California, as they work on building their future in show business, become entangled in interpersonal drama. I mean, that's a pretty spot on, pretty spot on right there. But
I feel like we were only ever at one of those places in the pilot.
I mean, I guess maybe through the season we'll dive into one of the other 3 restaurants. The original cast consists of trigger warning for anybody listening at home. I'm going to bury these names, and you're going to like it. And you can correct me if you want to, but we'll talk about that later. But Kristen Doty, who I know, Katie Maloney, Tom Sandoval, Stacy Schroeder, Sheena, who doesn't get a last name. I like that. I should have liked her already just because whenever they did the title card here, or not the title card, but the original cast. Jax Taylor, obviously Lisa Vanderpump. Those are our series regulars with Peter McGrill, Tom Shorts, Mike Shea, Laurea-Leigh, maybe, Frank Hurley as reoccurring cast members, and Ariana Madix makes a guest appearance in the season. So that's our cast. That's our synopsis. When we get this introduction to this cast, right? You know what I mean? I'm a big Lisa Vanderpump fan only because I watched Vanderpump Villa. And again, no prior knowledge of Lisa Vanderpump prior to that either for myself. We see her at the SUR Restaurant and Lounge. We see a young Jackson. They all look very different. You just kind of get a lay of the land, right? You know what I mean? I probably should have read the synopsis before I watched the episode. I did not do that but I quickly realized that this show is very much just like the Vanderpump Villa that I had watched. And yes, I know that's crazy that 2024 was my introduction to this world and how they operate it. But it's got that same vibe of these young kids trying to make it in Hollywood, but we're going to work for Lisa Vanderpump, who's going to give us kind of this work. Let me put in quotations, work for Lisa Vanderpump here. And they all want to be stars. But one of the things that we figure out quickly is everybody is dating everybody, right? Stassi, right? Stassi and Jax are dating. They've been dating for 2 years. Kristen and Tom Sandoval are dating. Katie is dating Tom Shorts. Everybody's dating everyone, and everybody has kind of slept with everybody. Is that the vibe that you got early on?
Yeah. Yeah, and it led me to a lot of questions. First, this doesn't seem like a great business model for promoting these restaurants. I'm like you. I read the description said that there was like 3 or 4 restaurants. I swear to God, we were only ever in one in the first. And I think even the title of the pilot was something about like "Welcome to SUR." So maybe we see the other one sparingly, or maybe she decided she needed a couple of those restaurants to actually make money. Because why would you go there? And also, I had some questions. How did these people get hired? Why are we keeping them? And do they ever actually do any work? Because in the first 43 minutes, I saw one person doing any actual restaurant work, and they basically got called out for being a sucker for doing it. And I was like, cool.
Yeah. So Eddie Cerebrine, whatever. Cebrian.
A name no one has thought of since 2012. Same with LeAnn Rimes. I mean, I had forgotten about Eddie Cebrian's affair and how that dominated the headlines, because this episode debuted January 7th, 2013. So literally 12 years ago. So it had to have gotten filmed like in the fall of 2012.
Right. So Sheena had reportedly dated him for 2 years, and she didn't know that he was married, apparently. Allegedly.
And having another affair.
And having another affair at the same time. Had no clue that this was going on. Now, everyone hates her because of it, right? Everybody was out for Sheena. I got to the point where I was like, I feel bad for Sheena. You know what I mean? I felt bad for her in this episode just based on the pure fact. Like, who cares? This Eddie guy, these people, they had nothing to do with Eddie. They don't know Eddie at all, right? There's no stakes with Eddie. So we're mad at Sheena, and she's the devil because she claims to have not known for, which I call bullshit. Like, especially because he was a celebrity, he was an actor, he was in the limelight. Like, you had to have known. You know what I mean?
And apparently this is a callback, because neither of us watched The Real Housewives of, I guess, Beverly Hills.
I would assume Beverly Hills or Hollywood.
I guess that's where she first made her entrees on there, because all this going on, because she was it kind of gets revealed she's like a friend of Lisa Vanderpump's daughter, and this happened to one of the other housewives on there. So they're like re-adjudicating. I think this is probably supposed to be part of the tie-in for, if you go back in time to 2013, they were probably aiming this show being a spinoff to people who were already invested in that world. So you're having a couple of characters you're carrying over some of that drama. For us, 13 years later, having none of that precursor, this felt like a really weird jag in a pilot.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Well, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills didn't start till Lisa was only on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills from 2019, officially cast member, as 2019 to 2024. So, but either way, yes, she did make an appearance apparently in 2016 for the Real Housewives of New York City. All right. So that being said, we then see Jax give a drink to Sheena, which pissed off Stassi, because how dare you be nice to somebody that I hate? This was a running theme between these two, and apparently it's just how they work or mesh, or their dynamic. They've been dating for 2 years. All they do is fight with each other, and all they do is kiss and make up. and she yells at him. He takes it on the chin, and that's basically more or less what their relationship is like. And then we find out, so the end of the night, we find out about the tips. Now, there was an interesting dynamic here. So whoever made the most tips, but it seemed like they just put all the tips in the pot and they split the tips. Is that what I gathered from this moment? Because they said in the other restaurant they keep their own tips, but I think in this restaurant everybody so what's the purpose of announcing who made the most tips if we're all just going to get the same cut anyway?
I don't know, to know who was like the most popular. It was curious how they even got these tips, because you never really saw them working. But they did make a big deal about what they weren't wearing for their uniforms.
Yes. Yeah, because it was interesting because like, so Sheena made the most tips or whatever, which was interesting. Like everybody was like, and then Kristen made the second most tip, and then Lisa called out, so this is my thing. When you watch Vanderpump Villa, you actually saw the individuals work, and you saw, because there was like chefs, there was people that ran the bar, there was housekeeping, there was like a variety of people that worked, and you watched them do some of this stuff and watch them entertain the guests. Maybe that's coming. I don't know. But I'm just going based off the information I had, fast forward 11 years, not rewinding 11 years to know what this is about. But I do want to bring up one of the more interesting moments. Apparently,
at some point, we will have to see them work.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, because apparently, I'll touch on that one thing in a minute. Let's see here. Sheena is apparently a singer or something like that.
Wants to be a singer anyway.
Wants to be a singer. And for some reason in the pilot, we needed to see her brought into the studio to make weird sex sounds over her song. I don't know the purpose of including this in the pilot. I don't know the purpose of putting this in this episode. But you could definitely tell it was 2013. And this is not something that I believe that would have been put on TV in 2024 or 2025. And the two men that just sat there and basked in this moment, this was one of the weirdest things I think I've ever seen. Matt, any thoughts on that scene?
Oh man, I did actually look up to see if she had much of a music career, because it was hard to imagine. She
was the next Britney, Matt. She was the next Britney.
We're 12 years on, and this is the first time I've ever heard her name, so I wasn't thinking she probably made it that big, and it does not look like she made it. I think they include that in there because it's, if you read the premise, it's these young hot people working at a restaurant while they're trying to make it in the 100%. Entertainment industry, and if you don't have that in the pilot, you can't even claim in your thing that they're trying to make it in the entertainment industry, because we didn't see any of the other ones make
they talked
any
about
kind of attempt.
One of them talked about it. They were supposed to be the Pink Power Ranger.
That was her.
Oh, that was Sheena too. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
and that's the only person.
I had to look that up. That went to Naomi Scott, and they do look facial feature wise a little bit similar. And I was like, I can see it.
I can see that versus being a singer.
Sheena is the only one that so far has espoused any of that. Stassi, who they've kind of focused on, really seems like she's about becoming she talks about being part of the power couple, that draws everybody in.
Well, and you can even see Lisa called her out for just not pulling her weight at the restaurant. You know what I mean? Obviously, we don't see it, but if you're being called out for not pulling your weight at the restaurant, I can only imagine you might not be getting lined up at the gig. Jax did talk about he was going to be filming a commercial later that night. I do remember that. This is, again, I know Tom Sandoval a little bit just based on all of the things you've heard over the years about him. You know him about, obviously, because Ariana. We're also currently watching The Traitors right now, which he's currently on as well. So that's a little bit of taste. However, we did get a massive taste of Tom Sandoval and his preparation process to get ready for work, get ready to go to work every single day. It took him 9 hours, like apparently to get ready to go, which it seemed like he was struggling to find hairspray. He was not a fan of her hairspray. This was to me, okay, let me prefix by saying this first. We have every opportunity over the next however many episodes, if we do all 256 episodes of this show, to change our mind on these people. I'm only going based off what we've seen so far. This moment to me with Tom was funny. Does it make him likable? No. I just found it hilarious that she kept on offering her hairspray and he kept on saying, no, it sucks over and over and over again, and was very mad because he couldn't find his hairspray. Again, I'm not saying that Tom's great. I'm only going off of episode 1, season 1 of Vanderpump Rules, and he made me laugh. So he gets credit for making me laugh. The other thing that made me laugh is when they asked him where they want to be in 5 years. In 5 years, he wants to be married with kids with Kristen, while she wants to be known for the work she does if fame comes along. Cool. Not one mention of him. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, we know that. I'm pretty sure like most of the first season is about the two established couples you have coming in breaking up. So,
well, yeah, I mean, episode 2 is literally titled, I think it's titled The Breakup, right? Hang on one second. I just saw it a minute ago. Yep, this is a breakup. This is a breakup. Yeah, I'm not going to read the synopsis because I haven't watched the episode yet. But
well, and what was amazing is none of them really have any chemistry with each other. So
it's not really. You could literally pick any one of them. I wouldn't be shocked if they're broken up. Even though, like, some of them, I think one of them claimed that they were together for like 5 years or whatever by now. I think it is, which is crazy to think.
I just, we know this is a relatively popular and established show. The pilot did not do anything for me about buying into or caring about any of these people, and I'm wondering if it was like maybe more of a slow burn, or they tapped into that, because the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills looks like it kicked off in 2010, and Lisa Vanderpump was a main star. I went and looked it up from the beginning, so maybe they just had that built-in audience. And then you had weird non sequiturs of like her and her husband trying food at home.
Yeah, I agree with you, because like to me, whenever you look at the cast, right, you have the first episode is really the introduction of the lay of the land of what they're doing, right? So they're working at this restaurant. Then the next part of it is
working.
Well, yeah, quote unquote, working at the restaurant. Then you have the whole entire Sheena versus Stassi situation, which is kind of plays a factor. Sheena wore a dress. Stassi claims it's her color, which I thought was very weird. This whole battle went back and forth. Stassi told Sheena to go shine glasses. This is where Lisa kind of got mad that she was working, but she was doing bitch work that she's not supposed to be doing. So I get it. And she's like, and then Sheena was kind of like, I'm just going to do it, whatever, just so that they can kind of fuck off and they leave me alone. But then in the long run, it was like she confronted her about it. And then Stassi was like, I'm mad. You slept with somebody that was married. Stacey says you're a man stealer and we can't be friends. And I'm like, nothing about this episode was like, I'm team Sassy. Like, nothing. I did like Sheena. I thought she's like, if I had to pick a favorite character from the episode, I would definitely say Sheena is at the top of my list.
But she's the one that they gave the most run to in terms of interests outside of work and
exactly
and being a fully fleshed out person. And I mean, again, you never know because of how these things are edited and how they want, but they certainly make Stassi seem a little bit like a manipulative kind of.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, my thing is, this is like, we're judging off of episode 1. Like, if I was watching this 11 years ago, maybe we're in the mix and we've watched other episodes of like seeing Lisa Vanderpump in this world, but we're starting over from square one. So we're open to the idea that at some point in time, the show gets good and meat on the bone. Because to me, it's like, really, what if you're defining like the overall episode breakdown, it's not a good episode. It's an episode where we see people bickering while they're supposed to be quote unquote trying to chase his career while they are fighting amongst each other. Like, if that's what you're going for, sure, maybe it's a 5-star episode. But for me, I need more. I need to figure out more. I want to see more of every character kind of figuring out and branching off into the world of trying to make themselves famous. We hear them talk a little bit about it. We hear them talk about doing commercials, et cetera, because at the end of the day, we know a lot of what every one of these characters do is just go on to become famous based off of this show. There's 256 episodes. Now, I know people come and go on the show, but like, I don't think any of these guys really made any stardom out of the show outside of being on the show. So this show has to get good at some point in time. I don't know when it'll be, but I'm excited though. I'm excited to be on this journey. I'm excited to piss off and challenge my friendship here with Matthew Fox every week. I can't wait to see them work. I can't wait for them to do their jobs. I'm very excited to see what that happens because again, Vanderpump Villa, you see people work and you see Lisa talk about that work. So maybe that's something, or maybe that's just she realized she watched the show back again and was like, you know what, maybe we should actually show them doing their jobs. But any parting thoughts for the audience, Matthew Fox, about the first episode of Vanderpump Rules?
No, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing if they actually do jobs at some point in time.
Yeah.
You know, somehow she earned tips. I have a lot of questions.
Agreed. All right. That is it for our first episode of the Reality TV Rewind here on the Love and Reality podcast, where we're breaking down Vanderpump Rules season 1. Again, I do clearly ask that we sit here and say, please, we are reserving judgment on liking some of these people through each episode. We understand some of these people might be, or all of these people might be terrible human beings, but we get to reserve the right of making that. So if I like Tom today, I might not like Tom after episode 2, or it might be episode 46 when I finally start hating Tom. And I'm talking about Tom Sandoval, not Tom Shorts. Shorts is a different day for a different topic, I guess. But that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will be back soon with another episode